When Saturn is in the air signs, our inner teacher teaches us to give form to ideas. The air element assimilates reality through observation. In this way, ideas and concepts are born. Saturn in the birth chart indicates a learning experience that we must go through to start the path towards self-realization. Saturn is an empirical teacher. He teaches us to develop the characteristics of the astrological sign responsibly and constructively. In the air signs, his guidance focuses on differentiating our mental processes. We become architects of ideas. Before going further into the meaning of Saturn in Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius, it is essential to understand the importance of Saturn. And this is precisely the way Saturn would start, so don't skip it. Saturn position in the birth chart shows us certain characteristics of which we have no personal experience. For some reason, the qualities of the sign are blocked. The required efforts to untangle the block are real, and they require discipline, perseverance, and multiple trials and errors. Saturn as a teacher confronts us with the empirical world. He makes us experience real situations. He makes us see our fears and asks us to go through them with self-discipline, responsibility, and a sense of duty. As a species, we tend to go for pleasure. If it were not for that mysterious part within ourselves that invites us to do something transcendental, we would only dedicate to eating, reproducing, and sleeping. That mysterious part is Saturn, the one that encourages us to keep trying despite everything. Saturn is our personal teacher, and it is happy to show us the way. It is normal to feel that the energy of Saturn crushes us. In a way, it is Saturn that makes us aware of the force of gravity. We come to bring something to the manifestation, and that requires effort. Therefore, the dark side of our relationship with Saturn is never trying what Saturn proposes, avoiding situations that seem difficult to us. Saturn is the master of masters. He does not allow us to ignore what we have come to learn. But as creative beings that we are, we can create a halo of darkness that keeps us within an apparent safety. At the end of life, we will feel that something is missing. Therefore, despite the difficulties, if we go ahead and listen to the call from within, Saturn promises personal self-realization. Many times, Saturn brings us limiting experiences that makes us focus on the subject that we have come to study and pursue a master's degree. It's like putting a stone in our shoes. In this way, he makes us focus on what we need to learn. If we decide to ignore what is happening and get used to walking with that stone in our shoes, then he will put an even bigger one. Like each planet, Saturn can represent different characteristics in our reality. Saturn represents authority figures such as These are all archetypes that put our feet on the ground. At the same time, they show us the path that leads us to what we want, although this path seems winding and sometimes even obsolete. Saturn may seem harsh, stern, and unfriendly to pleasure, but in reality, he knows what he's doing. Saturn tells us, you are not here to take exams, but to learn and manifest your dreams. According to the element where Saturn is, we see the kind of elemental energy that we have come to learn to use to achieve our goals. In fire signs, we are becoming experts in dynamism, in action. In earth signs, it is making things real. In earth signs, our specialization is in socialization, in exchange. In water signs, we specialize in connection, in emotional fluidity. It is important to keep in mind that any planet and its position in the birth chart is part of a whole that creates a perfect balance within the context. Saturn's position by sign and by house supports the rest of the birth chart, just as the other positions support Saturn. The more we study a wide variety of subjects, the more versatile we become. The typical adaptability of Gemini is put to the test when we have Saturn in this sign. In the birth chart, Saturn indicates the qualities that we are going to develop through experience. When Saturn is in Gemini, we have come to communicate our ideas. With this position, we learned when we ask ourselves, what am I curious about? What do I want to say? Saturn teaches us through experience, and in Gemini, experiences occur in the realm of socialization with the environment. We may have trouble expressing ourselves fluently or socializing easily. Wherever Saturn is, we find ourselves with a pre-established reality. In Gemini, this reality is made up of information that we may find difficult to adapt to, either because we don't understand it or because we understand it too much. The challenge is to make our perception more flexible, so we have to learn to ask questions. Although mental flexibility seems difficult to Saturn in Gemini, life will bring countless experiences where they will develop these qualities even without intending it. But of course, here we are not talking about adapting according to the circumstances, as the Sun in Gemini would. Here we talk about understanding mind maps, how they work, and when to use humor, seriousness, and all communication cadences to pass information in the most educational way. This requires concentration, dealing with what really interests us without falling into distractions is essential in this position. Although in the first years of life, they may feel limited in their ability to adapt to the environment, over time, Saturn in Gemini become masters of the dialectic. They get the importance of words and take very seriously the way they convey information. The austerity of Saturn is well known. It is generally correlated with limitations, since Saturn creates contraction. But perhaps the clearest way to understand this quality is through Libra, the sign of its exaltation. Libra symbolizes balance, you and me, elegance, and the ability to listen to the other. For this reason, Leonardo da Vinci's phrase is perhaps the most beautiful example of this position. In the birth chart, Saturn indicates the qualities that we are going to develop through experience. When Saturn is in Libra, it is about being fair and balanced. With this position of Saturn, we learn when we ask ourselves, what do I find beautiful? How is equanimity achieved? Saturn in Libra comes to teach us what balance is in the right measure. Those who were born with this position have come to a reality where commitment is important and agreements require work and effort. Of course, achieving mutual cooperation is not easy, and those with Saturn in Libra have come to learn that diplomacy and cooperation can only exist when grounded in something real. Saturn will make them go through experiences where they will be forced to collaborate with others without losing themselves. The motto here is balance, where both parties are dignified, as seen in the harmony of a waltz. With this position, we feel extremely comfortable with formalities in relationships, since this represents beauty in social behavior. However, Saturn teaches us that appearances are not enough for lasting and reciprocal agreements. With Saturn in Libra, we will learn to resolve the conflicts that arise in a pragmatic way. Over time, we will see that disagreements do not necessarily make us lose our elegance. Actually, the discords we go through help us polish our capacity for cooperation and lead us to materialize the harmonious reality that we so much desire. The learning of Saturn in Aquarius is simple. Create a different, unique reality where we can somehow shape our own genius. Looking for a quote from a Saturn in Aquarius, I have come across Mozart, Carl Jung, Nietzsche, Salvador Dalí, Lord Byron, Quentin Tarantino, Yoko Ono, Greta Garbo, Howard Hughes, James Brown, George Orwell, Gertrude Stein, and the list goes on. What do we see in common? Indomitable individuals with very clear ideas and a very particular way of seeing reality. Saturn in Aquarius speaks to us of the visionary, unconventional teacher who sees reality in a scientific, detached, and objective way. Yoko Ono's sentence has little to do with romance. Rather, it's an obvious conclusion. Individuals with Saturn in Aquarius seek to realize their own uniqueness, regardless of dissonances with the status quo. In the birth chart, Saturn indicates the qualities that we are going to develop through experience. When Saturn is in Aquarius, it is about innovating and progressing. With this position, we learn when we ask ourselves, how am I different from others? What do I want for the future of society? We can see Saturn in Aquarius as a transparent quartz. These individuals come to exemplify an idea in a concrete and defined way. They come to shape the collective trend that will manifest later. Somehow, they allow us to glimpse the future through them. Of course, they run the risk of transforming their ideas into dogmas, and when this occurs, Saturn manifests as the status quo authority that resists those ideas. Although it sounds difficult, the Aquarius challenge is to develop the ability to include everyone in an equal way without condemning anyone to ostracism. After all, Aquarius represents the social rights of everyone, not just a few. Saturn is the planet that represents authority figures, and when it is in Aquarius, the authority belongs to the individual. Therefore, those in this position will not allow themselves to be told what to do. The search for freedom to be oneself will make them go through experiences that make them feel isolated and misunderstood. In this way, Saturn connects them with the internal desire for social connection with their peers. And this is the way as Saturn helps to awake in ourselves the internal desire for social connection with our peers. With Saturn in Aquarius, mental isolation is possible, but at the same time, it is counterproductive since Aquarius invites us to unite with those with similar ideas to ours, to group together. And this is what Saturn in Aquarius will learn over time, that although they are different from the rest, those differences are implicit in everyone, each in their own way. It is the ability to identify what is unique in each other what makes Saturn in Aquarius a teacher. If you have questions about this topic or want to propose a video for the future, you can leave them in the comments. If you are interested in an astrological reading, you can visit my website, paulalustenberg.com, where I offer different possibilities. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe. I hope you have a nice day. Thank you very much and see you in the next one.